Hello and welcome to the next edition of MTP. I am your host, Hollywood Rayshon McCann, with my guy, the BK Bob Kelly. If this is your first time listening to us, we thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That's still the best way to get us out there. And we're trying to get out there in a major way. So, BK, how you doing tonight, man?
Good, man. Good. It's good to be back talking some C's, man. I feel like we've been so wrapped up in football and like all this other stuff, man, that we haven't really hit our stride with the C's yet this season. But man, it's been going good, man, for them.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like this time of year we get back into this, and then next thing you know, we get a bunch of new eyeballs that hadn't seen us before. Even though the football content is really good, but for some reason, the basketball is what brings people in for whatever reason outside the UFC stuff that we've done as well. So. Yeah, hey, listen, stay tuned, because like I said, this next month or so, we're gonna ramp it up. We're gonna give you some Celtics stuff. We're gonna give you some Bruins stuff, and even though they haven't done much, we're gonna talk Red Sox eventually too. But like I said, tonight is good vibes, because your Boston Celtics currently stand at 45-12. Not only are they first in the East, but they're first in the NBA overall. They are currently on a 8-game win streak as we record this on a Monday night. They face, by the time this comes out, they'll be facing in Philadelphia, and then they have Dallas and Golden State later on this week, but we'll talk about that as the show progresses. But man, eight games in a row. I was worried about maybe them coming out kind of slow after the All-Star break. That hasn't happened, but just speak to, what you've seen so far from them, as we are 2/3, or at least, no, not 2/3, we're about 3/4 through the season. Just, who has been the biggest X factor? If I could get that out of my, if I could talk, sure. If I could talk, okay. Who has been the biggest X factors for you so far?
I mean, there's only one answer, right? There's only one answer to this question, man. That's Porzingis. What he has brought to this team, man. I know. There's a lot of like unsung, and there's a lot of guys who have become X factors this year.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, the reason for all of that, man, is Porzingis in the middle of that offensive rotation. He changes everything for this team. He makes them so versatile, and has just opened up so much ball movement for this team. His efficiency rates are just astronomically better than we thought they were going to be. Like that was our biggest positive coming in when we found out we were getting Porzingis, was like, bro, the efficiency is gonna take off for this team because of what he's gonna bring to it. Right. I didn't think it would be like this, man. Did you?
So I got to give Mike credit, because Mike's the one who initially brought this up on our show. I think all of us were like, no way. Like, what are you thinking? And I think it's because we had dealt with so many injury-ridden big men, or just even players in general, that we were just like, no, like we don't want to see that. We don't need any more of that. Let's just stick with what we have, and then just see if guys continue to grow, continue to develop. So kudos to the front office, so Brad Stevens, Mike Zarin, Austin Ainge, Steve Peliuka, and the crew. Shout out to them for thinking, hey, we have a chance to go get this guy. We may have to part with a player that we don't really want to part with, but at the same time, if it's going to make us exponentially better, not linear growth, but exponential growth, you do it. You take the chance. And yeah, he's been every bit of what they've asked for and more. But answer your question, no, I didn't expect it. For me, it's the guy that I've been clamoring for since he got here, and it's Derrick White. Derrick White.
Yep.
Like I said, I will continue to take a victory lap until he's not on the team anymore. And that dude has been lethal. He has been lethal, and he kind of hit a lull kind of towards the beginning of this month, but going into the All-Star break, he started to catch fire again. He was great the other night in New York. He was great in that game in Chicago as well. His confidence was shooting a 3-point shot. His defense has been incredible. That block that he had on Vucevic the other night, I said, oh my God. I was like, a dude being 6'4", 6'5", and blocking a guy that's 6'10", like that was crazy. So to me, he's always going to be that. I love what Jrue Holiday's been able to do as well. Like, obviously, he's been a big X factor than Derrick White, but Defensively, he's answered the bell time and time again. He continues to blow up plays on defensive end. So yeah, that backcourt as a whole has been X factor. But like I said, I'm always gonna pick Derrick White. But like I said, anyone that says Porzingis or agrees with about the Porzingis thing is not wrong. He has been the curveball that Brad Stevens talked about. He's been the curveball that Joe Mazzulla's talked about. So I'm glad that he's here. Once again, do I miss Time Lord and Smart? At times, sure. But I mean, I enjoyed them on the team. We know that there was times when they drove me crazy, especially Marcus. But I mean, we can't argue with the results right now. And once again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. You know?
Well, and you know what else? You know what else doesn't lie is the injury report. And I
Oh,
don't know if you've seen the Grizzlies injury report and the Trailblazers injury report all
crazy,
year, but
crazy.
there's been two names that have constantly been on those lists:
Yep.
Marcus Smart and Robert Williams.
Yeah.
So you know,
Yep.
we
Crazy.
right, people can sit here and clamor away about it, bro. It was A+ moves on both parts, Drew and Porzingis, man. What they have brought to this team have been it's just it's a stabilization of the offense is really what it is. You know what I mean? Like there's a few times the past 8-game winning streak where there were moments it was everything that we were looking for and asking for
Mhm.
these past 3 years. You know what I mean? Where it's like the ball movement, man, is so crisp and the amount of times that they make that extra pass to get that open shot versus just driving the lane or doing whatever, man, is is like a dream come true compared to past years. Like I hope it keeps up, but I don't see any reason why it won't. You know what I mean? I based off of the efficiency stats and like all these different things, man. It's just this team seems like they got it so far.
Yeah, I mean that's the eyeball. And once again, listen, last year's team was awesome in many
Mhm.
Brogdon was awesome. Rob when healthy was awesome. But like I said, it matters when you're not playing 4-on-5 at times. It matters. Sometimes it was even 3-on-5 because teams would sag off of Rob, they would sag off Marcus. And then once again, Brogdon is as good as he was at times. Once that shoulder, was compromised, he wasn't the same guy. So, that matters. So, I don't know, it's just like the eye test alone, and you kinda saw within the first 10 games too. I felt like, sometimes I think we were being cautiously optimistic about how it would unfold, but, like, look at the first game of the season against New York. Porzingis comes in there, scores 30 the first night, hits that big 3 to put him up, 3 with, like, a minute left, and you're like, "Wow." Like, he's never been this wide open. Tatum has never been, this wide open, so JB has never been this wide open, so it's just like the spacing is there. More importantly, the trust is there, and as JB said the other night, "This is the most disciplined team I've ever been on." That says a lot. And once again, it's
Yeah.
not a shot. And once again, it could be a shot to Margaret, it could be a shot to Rob, it could be a shot to the Kyrie-led teams, but it is what it is. But I have to do a quick aside because I saw a post and I forgot who posted it, so forgive me for someone who posted it on Twitter. Um, it was talked about the Celtics being favorites the last several years. And, I won't say what I said word for word because I don't wanna get canceled. But it was, oh, like, you can imagine what I said, but I was like it was like, oh, like, they were second and the second favorite or the third favorite or fifth. And I want to reiterate, and once again, we're a green teamers, so of course we're gonna hype up certain players that we shouldn't hype up. But now that we're removed from it, I wanna be clear, right? We were relying on the corpse of Kemba Walker, the likes of Romeo Langford, a younger Grant Williams, right, at the time, Tremont Waters, right? We talked about this before on the show. Like, these are guys that were considered to be key rotation pieces on a team that was supposed to contend. How can y'all
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been spoiled when I'm like, once again, the best team they've had until maybe this year was the 2018, 2019 team, and Gordon Hayward didn't want to come off the bench. He said I still can go. Now once again, I think he's proven that he can still play a little bit. I don't know what he's doing down in OKC at the moment, but when you can still get 16 a night, off the injury he had, that's not bad. But he still was trying to prove himself on that max deal when he got here. But I just want people to pump the brakes. Like, I want you to look at the rosters before building this narrative about what Boston had. Because once again, there's only really 2 years where they should have blew you out the water. That was 2018, 2019, and then obviously we should have won the finals a few years ago. But once again, mentally, or as we say, the championship DNA was just wasn't there, unfortunately. So, but like I said, we're looking for better days ahead come April, May, and June. So I want to go back a few.
Hopefully June.
Yeah, hopefully June, right? Plus, there's more money in my pocket too.
Hey,
Right, but so I want to go back a few weeks ago because, like I said, we haven't done a selfish show in a while. So I want to touch on what happened at the deadline. So they make two small moves, bringing over Xavier Tillman from Memphis, bringing over Jaden Springer from Philadelphia. So Springer's only 21 years old, Tillman's only 25. So they fit the timeline of this team. So do you think that they make an impact right away, or was this really a move for next season and beyond, in your opinion?
I think it's next season beyond, and I think it's more depth than anything. It seems like, they're not expecting either of these two guys to make any kind of serious impact on this team. And I think if they do, things went really wrong. That's where I'm at with those two. I think that they definitely can make an impact, if they get the playing time, but I just don't see a path for either of them to significant playing time in like crunch time minutes or in the playoffs. I just don't see it happen. Like you said, man, this isn't the days where Tremont Waters and guys like that are playing significant minutes on this team. Like, I mean, even guys like, Hauser struggling to find minutes at times. Cornet's struggling to find minutes at times.
Mhm.
So for anyone, or like Brissett, I trust Brissett more than those two guys as well. But even he's struggling to find minutes at times. So it's like when you get guys that are that talented and they're struggling to find minutes, it's really tough to see guys that were on less talented teams a couple weeks ago struggling to find minutes. It's tough to see that. But like I said, if they're forced into that opportunity, I think that they can, stay afloat for a few games. I think especially Springer, I really like his game. But other than that, I don't see much from those two, man. And like I said, if we do, I think something went wrong
Yeah.
personally.
Well, yeah, because that means obviously someone got hurt and they have extended time.
Right.
For those that, and this has been on every Celtics show just about, so we're not giving you anything new unless you miss those shows and you turn into ours. So thank you. Tillman was great last year in the playoffs against the Lakers in the first round. Looking no further than his game 2 performance last year when he had 23 and 12. So he's capable of having those type of moments. He reminds me of a Paul Millsap type guy. Millsap obviously was a better shooter, rebound. Obviously, Millsap was all-star in this league for several years, but Tillman gives me those vibes. I feel like I was very encouraged by the video I saw from him earlier today at the practice facility, knocking down several threes in a row. I think that that's how he's going to be able to get on the floor eventually. So, yeah, it definitely was a depth piece. It definitely was added insurance for sure. We essentially gave him nothing to acquire both players. So I love what I've seen from Brad in that regard, with not really dismantling the team in order to, add on to them. And you get cheap labor in that regard from those two contracts. So yeah, I think just from, like, say for instance, say we face Milwaukee in the second round or conference finals, right? I I feel like Springer would be good in that series because it gives another guy that can defend. You're gonna need that against Dame, and you're gonna need the 6 fouls, quite honestly. So, I'm here for him getting some more time. Your boy Pritchard has delivered this year, so, we we give credit where it's due. Hauser, I wanted off the team, so, Ricky, that's for you, bro. I'm admitting it on air. He has proven me wrong, but I was very, very nervous at the beginning of the year. Could he be an intricate part? So now, Pritchard and Hauser are the 7th and 8th man right now. Cornet's probably the ninth guy. He stepped it up as you mentioned, so he's also saying, "Hey, I'm not letting Tillman come in here and get my minutes." Once again, Kornet comes off very goofy, but, as a player, you're competitive, and you're competitive, you wanna make sure
Yep,
that you're
yep.
giving the team, your best when it's required, so I'm excited I'm excited to see I liked both of those moves. I just think just to limit the minutes as the regular season dwindles down, I wanna see Springer and Tillman on the floor. I just do, because I feel like even if it's like 10 to 12 minutes, like if we can get Tatum and Brown really just the starting five to between 29 to 32 minutes for the rest of the year, that would be ideal. Like, but the thing is, Tatum want to play 38. Jalen Brown want to play 35. Like, Holiday wants to play 34. Like, but it's just like, bro, like, this is not about right now. This is about April. This is about May. And like I said, hopefully, we'll see. But like I said, overall, I like the additions. I hope they're able to make an impact. But at the same time, if this is about next year and some guys are not there at the back of the bench, guys like Svi Mahalik, and then O'Shea Brissett, like those guys aren't there, then maybe those guys step in and fulfill those roles. So, I'm excited to see, what they do for us in the future. But I want to transition into the coach. Joe Mazzulla has gotten a lot of flack on the show, sometimes rightfully so. But for him to be one of the quickest guys to win 100 games, for them to be 45-12 this year, he looks more comfortable. So I want you to expand on the job that you think he's done, and has he earned your respect currently, or are you still waiting to reserve judgment until playoff time? To give your full synopsis or full analysis of him, I should say.
So, as a Cowboys fan, I have to. You know what I mean? I'm programmed not to trust regular season success anymore. It's just the way my body and brain work now. But at the same time, man, I gotta say his evolution of his offense from last year to this year is so encouraging, man. Last year all we talked about was how stagnant things looked, and it looked like he didn't do plays, and it looked like he didn't do these basketball mind things that we wanted him to. Like he was just kind of letting it roll and letting everything just kind of go.
Mhm.
This year, Missoula ball is real, man. That offense is real. There's a set play every single time down. There's cutters on every single left, which to me is exactly what this team needs. You have a pick and roll at the top with two guys that can pop, and you have a slasher coming off the edge, which is deadly on this team because they literally have five guys at all times that can put the bucket in the hoop or put the ball in the hoop. You knew what I was saying. You know.
Yeah.
So all these elements that he's brought, man, have taken this team to me to a next level. And if he trusted in the playoffs, I don't know yet. Like we don't know because this is definitely the first full season we've seen of Missoula running the system, running what he sees as the best way for this team to win. We'll see if it works in the playoffs against like the best coaches in the league and stuff. But for now, man, he's definitely had more of my respect and more confidence than he did at the beginning of the season. I'm not giving him like
Yeah.
my full go yet. I don't think I'm there. Like I said, I need to see it in the playoffs for sure, but he's getting there. He's getting there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that's totally valid. I think that, you know, we like I just said a few moments ago, we were so far on the other side of the spectrum, especially Dave. Like Dave was like, "Man, fuck this guy. He's gotta go. He's awful, da da da." So, but the more they win, obviously the bring Ime back chants have, kind of quiet right now. I think they're still on the surface because fans are just waiting for something to fall. So they're like, see, like, well, Ime would have won. We don't know that. Once again, he's 25-32 right now with Houston, and they look a lot like how we did right before we went on that run last year, if you ask me. So they still need some help down there in Texas, but that's another show for another day. But yeah, I think it speaks to what's been around him too, right? When you add on Charles Lee, when you add on Sam Cassell, you know, I know Ben Sullivan and some other guys have left, but they put a brain trust around him that he hired that's helped them be successful. And you're only as good as the person around you. So whether that's coaching wise, whether that's player wise, personnel, obviously. So I think that he's done a phenomenal job. Once again, I'm still reserving my judgment too fully for the postseason because I want to make sure that, like I said, in the words of Big Daddy Kane, we get the job done. Like that's where I want that to be, and I want to see them hosting a LeBron Trophy once again. I told the story when we did that show, and it's our most. It's funny. Our pain was our most watched show. Our pain on here was our most watched show on here. So hopefully the next time we do a show in June is us sharing joy. And all y'all that watch our pain better watch our joy too. Well, I like I really side note, I want Golden State to catch fire and get back there. Once again, Draymond got in my face and said I got four, motherfucker. That has stuck with me since June 16th, 2022. And now I I need it in my I need Golden State to catch fire. I said, I can't. Like I said, we're gonna talk about Sunday in a few moments, but man, I need Golden State back here in the finals. Like I need that. Like I need that. Like we need water, like badly. So I'm hoping that they find a way to figure it out because I know they've been struggling. But once again, our coach has been good. Our players have been good. And once again, life is good. Life is good right now if you are a fan of Southern Nation and not overreacting to every loss or win, just enjoying the process, right? Not trusting the process,
That's it, man.
but
We're enjoying it.
Enjoying the process because I'm sorry, I'm gonna go full BK mode here. This is feeling like, oh wait, oh, sorry, I didn't say that last year. I didn't say it the year before, but this is feeling like, oh wait, like once again, they came into places most nights, and you knew the other team had no shot. And I know that sounds wild, and Craig, if you clip this later on, and I'm like, if I get killed for it, so be it. But it feels like oh wait, it does. And once again, we couldn't predict that they were going to win 08 either. But when you saw them beat certain teams the way they did, it was like, oh, okay, we have something special here. So, and they've had a few of those signature wins this season. So I just think, like I said, we're inching ever so closely to that banner 18 goal. So any final words on that before we move on?
No, I feel like my final words will be touched on later on in the show. I don't want to jump
Gotcha.
anything. So yeah, we'll keep
Gotcha. Well, let's get into some players. I mean, obviously, we talked briefly about Porzingis, talked about Derrick White, but I want to talk about the guy who is now considered to be an MVP candidate that might be the leader of the MVP race, and that's none other than Jayson Tatum, right? The dude is getting 27, 8, and 5 on the year. He's on the team with the best record. Once again, not just in the East, but in the NBA. But before we get into, do you want him to get the MVP? But I feel like his interviews lately, whether it's been about basketball, not basketball, he just seems to be at a different level mentally right now than he's ever been in his career. So just speak to the maturity you've seen for him this season. And are you worried about him getting the MVP at season's end?
So I just want to I mean, I'm not going to take the full victory lap quite yet
Mhm.
because, he hasn't an MVP or hasn't gotten the championship yet or gotten anything like that. But I don't know if you remember when we first started this podcast, Ray Sean, everyone was calling for Tatum's head. Everyone's like, oh, I'd rather do Brown, Tatum, what did I think it was me and you personally who really were on the like, bro, this dude is 22 years old. Do you know how much maturity you gain from the ages 22 to 25 to 27? It
Mhm.
is astronomical, man. The more even a dude I was watching an interview earlier today with Kyrie Irving. Even Kyrie Irving has matured to an adult. It actually says adult things when he's interviewed now. It actually has some kind of humility and like has these qualities that you kind of evolve into as you get older, man.
Right.
This is what Tatum is going through now. And honestly, to me, it feels like this dude is years ahead of where he should be mentally, in my opinion. The way he handled the Jaylen Brown All-Star game thing, where he had Brown take his minutes so he could get more points. Like you said, the interviews about the MVP, like he's not worried about MVP at all, man. He just wants to win a shit.
No.
And to see that mentality from a dude who, how old is he now? Actually, 25, right?
Yeah, yeah.
25,
He'll be 26 on Sunday.
26 on Sunday. Okay. To see that from a dude that age is different, man, because usually this age, you look at dudes like a Devin Booker or like, I'm trying to think of other dudes, I don't know, even like a Ja Morant or like dudes like that are clearly not at the maturity level and leadership level
Mhm.
that Jayson Tatum is at. And this might derail a little bit, but like I have never seen a player get held to such a high standard like this dude is, man. I don't know what it is, but like if this was James Harden when he was 24, or James Harden, or even like a LeBron when he was 24, or Dwayne Wade when he was 24, and he was dropping 30 points a night with
Mhm.
the maturity and leadership that Jayson Tatum is showing. Is there another player that you could think of that would be held to this kind of standard
So
that wouldn't be getting this credit like he isn't?
So in this current era, no. Like there's been other players that have obviously. Like obviously LeBron was on the pedestal from day one, and he's answered the bell time and time again, right? Whether people think so or not.
Mhm. For
Um,
sure, for sure.
but I think yeah, in this current era, which is why when these conversations are being had about who is going to be the face, Luca doesn't get the slander, SGA doesn't get the slander. I'm trying to think who else is in that. And like I said John Morant. Well, he gets slandered, but he gets slandered for what he did off the court. You know, it's Zion to me is
Those are
someone.
those are the Giannis.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Giannis, you know what I'm saying? So, he is someone that, but he's also about to be 30. So I feel like, even though that's not old, but I feel like Tatum and all the
he's
guys.
got the ship. He's got the ship, though.
You got to
He's
say,
got
bro.
the
You know what I'm
ship.
saying?
So
So
I
yeah,
think
I
that's where,
feel like
yeah,
same thing with Jokic. Like Jokic is about to be 29 later this year. So but it's like quietly, I don't see those guys being the face all the time. Once again, hell of a player, but I don't see those guys, becoming those two becoming the face of the league, even though the guy doesn't they both for MVPs and championships to back those claims up. But yeah, no, the slander is real. And I don't know whether it's because they felt like people anointed him too early in the 22 run, but I'm like I mean, we saw some of the best rookie performances in the playoffs from him at age 19. Oh no, he was 20. He just turned 20. So he was 20 years old. Took LeBron to game 7. They beat Philly in 5. That Milwaukee series went 7, but I'm like, I remember him and Jaylen Brown both had 30 in that game 4 on the road. So he showed from day one that when he was given a chance, he was going to be special. So I don't know. What I will say is a quick aside, what I think happens, and it wasn't every player, but you brought up Dwayne Wade. So Wade, Bird, Magic, Kobe, who was his idol. A lot of those guys won early, right? And so now what happens is when certain guys don't win by year 3, year 4, you automatically get cast aside as some failure, as some guy that is a choke artist. And I'm like, wait a minute. Those that consider Michael Jordan to be the GOAT, Michael Jordan didn't win till he was 28. LeBron didn't win until he was 28. Once again, everyone's not going to be Magic. Not going to come in and get 42 or 15 and 7 in a closeout game. It's not happening. It's not. Bird, wins the next year. You're not going to win in your second year most times, and then 2 and 3, and then go to 4 straight finals. That's not how this works. So we were spoiled by some people's greatness. We were. And I think that's part of it. And who knows, maybe because they see it in him. Maybe they think he's supposed to be better than he was. But once again, the man had average 30 last year and was a sprained ankle away from going to back-to-back finals. Once again, not an opinion. To me, that's a fact. We had the momentum at that moment. Unfortunately, he gets hurt, and Once again, Miami prevailed. Should have been down 3-0 in the first place, but they had all the momentum at that moment. So that's kind of what I see on that. But I said it all to say, because I've been long winded on tonight's show. I don't care about the regular season MVP. Talk to me in June when he's holding up with Paul Pierce held up, with Cedric Maxwell held. That's
Mhm.
what I want to see. Be the Finals MVP. Do that. Then I'm like, I'm good. If you're the Finals MVP, you are the best player in the world. Because the best player don't always win MVP. So that's
I think with Dre, I kind of normally I don't like what Draymond said. You're not being long winded. Don't worry. And I like what Draymond said about it. It was like it's almost exactly what we were just saying, man. Is like there's no one that gets the disrespect that Tatum does just because he hasn't won a ring in this era. It's crazy, man. How much of a standard he's held to. I saw a thing earlier today that was like Jimmy Butler 2023 NBA Finals averages versus Jayson Tatum's 2022 NBA Finals averages. And it was almost identical. And the quotes underneath each of them was under Jimmy Butler, it was Himmy Butler, can't get no help, man put the back on his team. And
yep.
he go over to Jayson Tatum, is not even a top 20 player,
Mhm.
fraud, can't handle the clutch. And
Yep.
it's like, bro, it's the same exact stats, just with two different storylines attached to them. And that's just what the public takes off on. And
Yep.
it's not fair to Tatum to beat. Stealing this line from DK to beat him over the head, beat him over the head with his own success.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's not fair to him, in my opinion. And it sucks to see that happen. But
Yeah.
I think he's at least going to be top 3 this year at MVP. He has to, right? He's got to finish top
Oh,
3.
I mean, for sure. But I think about someone who's in the same draft as him, Donovan Mitchell, right? Donovan Mitchell from day one, because he was a lottery pick as well. I think he went 13th overall to the Jazz in 2017. This dude has been money from day one. He's been awesome. But doesn't it feel like Cleveland is the Utah Jazz of the East? Great
A little bit.
defenders, good point guard that could score. Obviously you had Mitchell on both teams, but he had Gobert, had Ingles. Once again, he got Utah out the Hayward era because they didn't know who was going to place Hayward, but he replaced Hayward. Was better than Hayward while he was there in Utah. But it's just like they've been second round exits his whole career, regardless of where he's been. And once again, New York beat them last year in the first round. So he doesn't get the slander that others get, mainly Tatum, guys like Luka. I mean, and what, because he's 6'1", so he gets a pass? No. He's someone that gets you to 30 a night. And he hasn't done enough to get his team at least to a conference final. So,
I think I think
it's
Luka
possible.
to me, I think Luka to me is the best comparison when it comes to
Mhm.
the standards that they're held to. You right? Because I feel like all these other guys that we're mentioning, right? In my opinion, can't hold a flame to Jayson Tatum's shoes. You know what I mean? Like, listen, Donovan Mitchell's amazing. He really is. I love Donovan Mitchell. Not in the same stratosphere as Jayson Tatum. Do you think so? Like,
No,
actually,
no, I agree.
right?
He's a volume.
So I feel like he's that next tiered. Tatum to me has to. You can't. I think it is absolute blasphemy that people mention who's the next face of the league, and Luka Doncic comes out of people's mouths, and the next name isn't Jayson Tatum. That's where I think he has to be in this echelon of people at this point, because like, dude, he's had more success from day one than Luka's ever had. And it's like Luka just has this like aura of like he's the best. He's Luka. He's bro. I fact, in my opinion, that Jayson Tatum has had a much better career so far than Luka Doncic. I don't even think it's that
Yeah.
close, man.
Luka is James Harden in Houston.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exact.
That's what he is. And once again, that's
He,
okay
he
because
he's obviously a little better than like what like he's got. I think he's
yeah,
got a little more
Harden's
of a
got
skill
36
set. I
wins.
think.
Hard to get
That's true. That
I
was
don't
a
want to
different level.
diminish.
You're
Yeah, I
right.
don't
You're
want to
right.
diminish what he got. Like I said,
You're right. You're right.
the man was hooping, but it's just like Luke is getting 35 a night now, right? And it's just like, dude, like that's great that you're going 87 MJ. There's nothing to show for it because that was happening too. MJ was going 37 a night.
What
Yeah,
are they?
like
What are they? The 7 seed? They're the 7 seed right now, Dallas. Something like that. 6 seed, maybe.
yeah, and they just won 7 in a row themselves just to get to that. You know, that's how stacked the East is. Remember, we grew up in the era where the 6 seed had 50 wins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that might be the case now. We might be getting back to them days where, you know, the 8 seed might have 48 wins. You know, which is I'm like, that's a great stake to be in because you shouldn't be 33 and 49 getting into the playoffs. You just shouldn't be.
It's a fact.
You know, I never want to see that again, unless it's us. Unless we were that bad some year where we had to go that bad just to get in and be an AFC. But you know that would just be whack for the ratings overall. But yeah, so I don't know, but like I said, I'm sick of the slander myself. Once again, have I had my frustrations with Tatum? Absolutely, because you know the settling, he settles too much at times. But it's like I feel like now they're preaching attack the mismatch. Attack it.
Yes.
And there's not a defender in this league, and I say this confidently, there's not a defender in this league that could slow him down. Or no, well, let me say that could stop him all the time. You can slow him down a little bit, but you know, it's like I even remember that Clippers game a few months ago. He's killing the Clippers. And you see PJ Tucker like, you know, throwing his hands like, oh my God. And I'm like, look, PJ, you know, you had a nice run. You ain't do nothing with this version of Tatum, brother. Maybe a couple years ago when he was still trying to figure it out. Not now. Not now. He's giving people whatever he wants. And, you know, it's just like the man is just special. I know people were mad about the 19 points the other night because, you know, it fucks up the parlay. Fuck that. That was one of his better games of the season. He saw that JB was cooking.
He messed up my parlay, but I agree. It was one of his better games.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm just like now the mess up the parlays make people give unnecessary slander. It's like, no, Smith's not a scrub. Like just because you didn't get the 25 to get the $65, sorry. Like I'm worried about the name on the front. I need them to win a championship badly. Like we've been knocking at the door. It's time to kick that motherfucker down. That's where I'm at. I don't care about no bets. Once again, I like my fair share of betting too. I don't care about that. I want the name on the front to say in June. I want to hear Eddie Palladino's voice saying, "And that's the ball game. Your 2024 NBA champions, the Boston Celtics." Like that's what I want to hear. That's my parlay. That's what I want to. That's my plus 1,500. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I need more than anything. So I said to say, let's chill with the Tatum slander because the same ones that's killing him now are going to be sucking him off. You know, pause. come June. If they win,
Hard pause.
He's such a great player. I knew he could do it. I'm attacking everybody that changes their stance. So my boy Jalen, I'm talking to you. Justin, I'm talking to you. You know, my whole TD group chat that be going off. Leak, what up? I'm coming at all of y'all because y'all kill Tatum on a regular basis. So if they win in June, y'all better not be excited for shit. Don't even show up to work that day. Don't even come to the parade. And I'm like, I feel like you in 2011. Remember me and you had that back and forth? It was Vancouver, game 7, and they had not done anything on the road. And I'm like, I was Mr. Negative. I'm like, I don't know, Bobby. Like they just haven't. He was like, and that's like the only time he really cussed at me negative. He was like, get the fuck out of here. Like I am not accepting this negative bullshit, right, Sean? Get off my page. And I was like, man, well, Bobby hits at me like that. I was like, oh, this is serious. I said, you know what? You're gonna win this fucking game. And thankfully, you know, them boys came through. You know, speaking of them, I'm hoping they get a long run too compared to what happened last year because they messed up my money, not my parlay, but they messed up my money because they didn't go as far. as they stood up in last year's playoffs. So, let's just avoid Florida, even though Florida's right behind us in the standings. Let's avoid them at all costs if we can.
Not to go on a beast tangent, but they're looking a little bit more like the bees of the past lately, aren't they? They really are, man. They
Yeah,
really
yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Quick aside, yeah, they've been struggling. Listen, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're gonna get into them as well. We gave y'all a playoff preview
Those
last year,
those late
so
those late
we'll
leads,
get into them.
bro. Those late leads are killing us.
I know,
Killing us.
I think it's up to 9 now. 9 of them they've blown, so it's like it's pathetic. But once
Crazy.
again, back
Crazy.
to back to positivity. So I've said this before on this show, and I'll say it again. Once again, I didn't say it originally. I give credit to Isaiah Thomas that played for Detroit and the late great head coach Chuck Daly. They had went to 3 straight finals in the late '80s, so '88, '89, '90. If Isaiah Thomas doesn't get hurt, they're probably the only team in that era to go for a three-peat, but that didn't happen because Isaiah Thomas got hurt. But he mentioned, I guess, when they won in '90, Chuck Daly looked around and said to every guy on the team, so Benny Johnson, Joe Dumars, James Edwards, John Sally, Dennis Rodman, so on and so forth. And he said to them, he asked them, if we need one game on the road, do y'all feel that we can win it? And, Isaiah Thomas tells a story, says, to a man, we all said, yes, coach. We feel like if we need one game on the road, we trust each other to get the job done. So they said, okay, cool. Seeding is not the most important thing. Health is. So I set that up by saying, after what we've seen at TD Garden in both sports last year, do you care about seeding? And my follow-up question to that is, if we wrap up the 1 seed by late March, do you want to sit Porzingis until the playoffs?
No, 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 no. I don't. I think it's a horrible idea. His body type to me is not the one that you can just sit and expect to come back and not have some kind of flare up of something. You know what I mean? Like just his history and his past, man. Like I think that the way that they're using him right now is perfect. With his efficiency rates, what they are, the way that they use him in the offense, where he's not really the banger down low. You know what I mean? He's not getting beat up on a nightly basis. He's up top running screens, running picks, shooting. His step back three is so fucking awesome, man. It's so cool to see a
And,
7'3" guy do a step back three.
insane, insane.
But yeah, no, I don't. I think you can scale him back. I don't think you can sit him though. You maybe rest nights here and there, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't sit him. I don't trust that. I think you need this team firing from day one in the play. Man, I personally wouldn't. I think like I said, you pull all the minutes back. You kind of get into the depth a little bit more. Maybe Tillman and those guys start doing something down the stretch once we do lock up that 1 seed. Knock on wood. But yeah, no, I wouldn't sit him. You can't do that. You can't do that,
I think. Well,
in my
see,
opinion.
yeah, no, I so as I wrote this earlier, and I was, we were met about this. I went back and forth on this question, and I thought that I had an answer, and I'm still kind of up in the air, honestly. It looks like he's gonna get around the 60 game mark. That's what it looks like he's about to reach this season. 'Cause he's at 42 right now, which is already more than where Rob Williams played last year and the year before. So that's already a plus in that regard. The man's getting 20 a night still on limited shots, so that it just speaks to his efficiency. But to answer the first question that I asked, say if they did have this mini collapse and they fell to the 2 seed, like, I'm not worried. Like I said, this team has also won 8 in a row on the road. I just think they go into arenas saying, "It doesn't matter who's in front of us. We are the team to beat, period." And I think that's a phenomenal mentality to have. Once again, there's some teams that may have some more resistance towards that than others, but I just think coming into each scenario, they're like, "Look, we're 26-3 at home. Really should be 27-2, but it's a whole nother story because the LA loss was terrible.
Mm.
My God. But I just think, like I said, when you're winning like that and you're that together, because once again, the ball movement was great. Once again, that game in New York, yes, they were missing Randall and Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson. The way they stuck together even when that game got tight early on. And then just like that in the third quarter, it was like this, the Thanos snap. It was like, oh, it's over. And and I forgot, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but it just dawned on me. I'm almost hoping that the second quarter becomes their quarter of doom now and not the third, because if you're keeping it close and it's like next thing you know, you start blowing out teams in the third quarter, cool. I'm with that because I was getting nervous with this third quarter trend of them not doing what they're supposed to do. And then teams saying, well, as long as we keep it close, we could take that lead on them. It's like, no, I want them to go in how they did against Chicago, how they did against New York, just coming from the break and say, okay, we're gonna move the ball. We're gonna take our defense up to another level, and then the game is gonna be over, essentially in the third quarter, because teams are now getting little runs, but I'm no longer sitting there saying, "Damn, this team's gonna come all the way back against us." I like a lead maybe get down to 7 or 8, and I'm just like, Drew Holiday's about to hit a corner three, and then he does. Then it's like Derrick White's gonna get an and one, then a steal, then he does. Taylor's gonna do the 1-2 dribble, sidestep three, time out the other team. Now the lead's back up to 15. You're like, oh my God, they're back in
Yeah.
control. That's what's
Yep.
been happening just about all year. So you are the habits you build, and they're building that habit. They still have moments of lax basketball, but those stretches are becoming more few and far between. So I'm grateful that we're not seeing those stretches as much and that they're starting to tighten up, playing well in the third quarter. Once again, they still have some stuff they need to work on as the regular season comes to a close, but hopefully the third quarter woes are something that are of the past, but it doesn't really head too much in the near future. So, that's
I
just something.
just I just think the setup of this team really helps eliminate that. Like, I hate to keep going back to it, man. Like, Porzingis adds that element that takes that stagnation away. You know what I mean? Because, even when he isn't on the floor, you still feel that they keep things moving way more than they ever did. Like you said, there is still moments where you feel like they are about to go into hero ball, but then all it takes is 2 or 3 set plays, a couple slashers, and then all of a sudden you have that open man in the corner, man. Like, I've never seen a team get so many wide open corner threes than this Celtics team does. It's every single night. There's at least 5 to 6 wide open corner threes happening, which
Yeah,
is is the best. It's the most efficient 3-point shot out there. So, like, that's what we're looking at.
and then when you have the best corner 3-point shooter in the NBA, in Drew Holiday, the man is shooting 63% from the corner. And think about this.
Man,
He
it's
he ca
something.
he came in from last year in Milwaukee, and he was hitting 45% from corner threes last year in Milwaukee. So that's almost 20%. That's fucking insane. So just from playing with Giannis for once again, 45 is phenomenal. That is way above league average. But once again, the word I used earlier, exponential. There's nothing linear about this team right now. Porzingis was
Agreed.
not
Agreed.
Porzingis was not a linear move. Holiday was not a linear move. They have exponentially gotten better. And that's where Brad Stevens and Austin Ainge and Mike Zarin and Steve Paliuka and Whit Grousbeck, they have strategically put this roster in place to say it is now or never. And I love that they have that type of pressure. I hope that it goes into next year, even if they win it. Go into next year, fuck it, go back to back if that's the case. Like I want the dominance. I need that back. I need to inject it into my veins. But yeah, that's just kind of how I see that. But yeah, like I said, when you had that, like you said, when you had that going on, like I said all 5 guys are just lethal. And I want them all to start shooting the corner threes. Because even Jaylen Brown's getting better at that too. From the
Well, it's like, if you remember, man, that's what made that Kawhi Raptors team so deadly. That every person on the floor could drop 20 on any given night. Yes, Kawhi was the guy that made that thing move for sure, man. But you still had Van Fleet, you had Siakam, like, you had these guys that on any given night could drop and give you 20, man. And that's so important for a deep run into the playoffs. It's so, so, so important to have a guy when your best guys aren't giving you those 30 and 40-point nights, to have a guy like a Derrick White or like a Porzingis or even like a Pritchard or a Hauser who can give you a quick 15 points, who can give you a solid, solid scoring night, man. And that's the shit that wins you NBA championships. Your stars, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? The guys that will pick up the load. And that's what this team has. That's what we've been begging for. And that's what they got this year.
Yeah, 'cause even like I keep reverting back to last year because that's just the sample size that we have. But you know, you really can only trust Brogdon to have those moments off the bench last year.
Agreed.
And once again, he delivered plenty of times, so I don't want to make it seem like he didn't because he did, which is why he won 6 Man of the Year. But now, like I said, you have Pritchard who's been consistent. You have Hauser who's now been consistent. Fournette in limited minutes has been really good. Kada in limited minutes has been really good. So um they've pushed the right buttons more this year. And I say it's evident in their play, it's evident in their confidence. And and more importantly, it's evident in their execution. Like they execute much better. And once again, Jalen Brown said it best a few days ago. This is the most disciplined team we've been on that I've been on. Yeah. And he's been
Yep.
there 8 years. You know what I'm saying? So, it's really good when everyone's on the same page. They've been to the conference finals. They've gotten all-star MVPs. They've been all NBA guys. It's now time to say, okay, the only thing that I need is an NBA championship. Or plural or ships. You know what I'm saying? So, that's that. So want to transition into the standings overall in the East. So obviously Celtics are 1, Cavs are 2, Bucks are 3, Knicks are 4, are 5, Pacers are 6, Miami is 7, Orlando's 8, Chicago's 9, and then to round out the play-in, Atlanta's at 10. They may dip out because of Trae Young's injury. He's going to be out for the next month or so that probably ends their season presumably. So just out of those teams I named, in the first or second round, like who would you want to avoid the most, and just who do you think we would match? I mean, we match up well against most, but just like who do you think would be the craziest matchup this year for us in the first round?
And I don't see any right. Let's read them again. Read me the last few again. Sorry.
So from
Oh, it's
six,
6, 7, 8.
six so okay, so 5 is the Pacers. 5 is the Sixers, 6 is the Pacers, 7 is Miami, 8 is Orlando, 9 Chicago, 10 Atlanta.
I mean, I guess Indiana would be the toughest because they definitely have the best squad out of everyone. They have the most complete squad. Halliburton can win a game any night
Right.
if you give them the chance to. The addition of Siakam was pretty big for them. I really like that they have him to be able to score down low now with Miles Turner. I think that's pretty, they're pretty dynamic now, but I don't see them falling into that 8 seed in any way. Those 8, 9, 10, man, I don't see a team that can really get more than one against this team. I feel like if anyone does, it would be a disappointment. Obviously, the Heat are the Heat. They're always going to be scary. Anytime I see Boston versus Miami Heat, I'm shaking in my boots a little bit. But this year feels different. I don't think that they
Yeah,
can
I
hang with us
just
this year. I really don't.
yeah, no, and I'll get my team in a minute, but you know me, I always got to connect history to to what's going on. It's the teacher in me, right? I I mean, and I brought this up before, but this really feels like it now even more so than last year or the year before, I should say. This feels like the Heat feel like our Detroit Pistons to our Bulls. And Detroit, I mean, Miami had the mental advantage against us. They were never more talented than Chicago, but they had the mental edge, they had the physical edge. And until Phil really caught his bearings, Chuck Daly had the coaching edge, right? Early on, anyway. Obviously, we know what Phil became, but early on, Chuck Daly was better than Doug Collins and the crew. Fine. But we get to that 91 series, you know, and Miami or Detroit, Miami's beaten us twice, Detroit had beat them twice. And all of a sudden, they got swept in the conference finals, right? 91 conference finals. Chicago, Detroit walks off the floor in game 4. And I feel like this is the first time where they finally know, oh, we're not better than them right now. We're not. And I think that this is the first time I think last year they felt that way. They were, oh, we're better. Year before, even though they lost and we went to the finals, like this is the first time they're looking at us like, yeah, we don't have the better team. We don't have the edge like we had before. And I think that's what's going on. And so, although I know they would have pushed us to 6 games at least, I don't think they'd beat us in the first round if that was the case. Obviously, anything can happen, so I'm not sitting here thinking it'd be automatic because it's not. But actually, the team that I was thinking of is actually the team that's right behind them, but that's the Orlando Magic. I don't want to see them in the first round. A team that has nothing, they had nothing to lose. No one thought they were going to be there, and they had the size. You know, Wendell Carter 6'11". You know, the Wagner brothers are both 6'10" or above. You know, you got
Monchero, bro.
yeah, but yeah, Banchero's a problem. So Jonathan Isaac is a good wing defender. So I I'm good. I'm good. And, you know, I and knowing our luck, Markelle Fultz will have a revenge game. Oh, you guys picked Tatum over me. Like I there's so many scenarios. I'm just like, nah, I'm cool. I'm actually good with facing Indiana only because I feel like because they're young and aggressive, I feel like we could use that aggression against them and probably beat them in 5. Like how, like you said, Halliburton's good to get you 1, maybe even 2, because I think he's just super talented. But I feel like it would be pure domination. As good as Miles Turner is defensively, he's still 5 inches shorter than Porzingis. And like I say, he can take Porzingis out the paint. So that would be a different matchup. But I just think that we've played them so many times this year. You know, I mean, we have to worry about Neesmith trying to fucking hurt somebody 'cause I just think he's fucking dangerous out there. You know, but other than that, but like I said, Orlando's the team for me. I'm like, I do not want to see them at all because I'm like, I want as smooth as a first round series as possible. Huh. And then move on. Because even though they could beat Orlando in 5,
No,
I feel like it'd be a physical 5. And I'm like, I don't want that. So
they. I think that's a good call because we're like you said, we're going to relate it back to history. That's what we do here on this basketball show, bro. And it would remind me of that Hawks team in '08 that we played in that first round. I feel
right.
you because
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, because they're young, they don't know any better than to back down, and they got that youth to them, man, like that Hawks team did. So yeah, I feel that, man. I feel that hard. I like that call. Well, I don't like that call, but I like
Yeah,
that.
well, yes. Once again, I want to be proven wrong, but like I said, from what we've seen and what happens, I just want to make sure that it's the least resistance as possible. So, and then before we get into the week ahead and close this out, who do you think would be the biggest threat out west if we get to the finals?
Denver. It's got to be Denver. That Jokic and Jamal just create such a deadly dynamic duo, man, that it's already proven, what they can do and everything like that. So yeah, it's got to be Denver. I mean, I don't see anyone else. Maybe the Lakers because of LeBron, but even them, I think we can beat them. I really do. Even though they've already gotten us once this year.
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
Denver's the one that scares me the
we beat
most for
them. We
sure.
beat them on Christmas Day. I mean, once again, just for the optics. I mean, obviously, Pierce got his one and only ring against the Lakers. I would love for that to be the case where we beat the Lakers for that. That would be great. But they have a lot of hurdles to jump to get over that. Low key, I think it'd be juicy if it would be if it was Luka and Kyrie here in the finals. That would be fucking amazing. The
Ooh.
storylines would be crazy for that one. But like I said, we don't have to worry about Dallas getting there either. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Denver for sure. This is an outside chance because of their health, but I would love to see us against Phoenix. I think that'd be a phenomenal series. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, agreed. There'd be so much star power in that series. I agree.
Yeah,
That'd
so
be
I
awesome.
think that would be awesome to see. So we'll we'll see. But yeah, like Denver for sure. Like I said, until someone knocks them off, they're going to be the team to beat in that regard. So let's close this out by getting into the week ahead. I'm purposely not talking about the 5-game road trip after the 3-game homestand because I feel that we'll be back next week and we can talk about it. We'll talk about it then. But they got Philly tomorrow night. Like I said, as we record this on Monday night. They have Dallas on Friday night, and then they have Golden State here on Sunday. So just how do you see those games unfolding? And what do you want to see them work on during this homestand?
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't win all three, just
Mhm.
based off of what we've seen. Obviously Golden State's always a struggle. It's a little bit of a rivalry game, so I think you toss the records out. I think you toss out they're struggling. They actually look a little better lately too. They're playing with that swag again. And I don't know if you saw that pass by Curry behind the back where he wasn't
It's
even fucking looking.
crazy,
That was
crazy.
so
Yeah,
sick.
crazy, great,
Um,
ridiculous.
and just like the confidence in that pass that he had, man. Like he knew where that shit was going. And that's that swag from Golden State that you got to worry about. I think people out west do have to worry about them if they get that 7 or 8 seed, man. One of those top seeds could be in trouble early. But I don't see any reason why they shouldn't win all 3 games here. You know what I mean? And what I'm looking for, man, is the same thing they've been doing. I don't want them to change a goddamn thing. I want them to keep doing exactly what they've been doing because goddamn is it working. This team is firing on all cylinders, man. And actually, I should remember one thing I do want to see is, or mostly what I want to see them keep up, I guess, is the defensive intensity, man. I think that was one thing that they lost last year a little bit of. And this year they definitely seem to be ramping that back up. You've been seeing a lot more like highlight reel blocks from this squad this year. A lot of big defensive plays that create offense on the other side, which is exactly what got them rolling 2 years ago. Or I guess I said, yeah, 2 years ago. That's what I want. I want to see lots of defense in the offense. Not that they haven't been doing that. I want to see that keep.
Yeah, no, totally valid. So yeah, obviously, like, we nitpick when the team is doing this well. So yeah, defensive intensity is always going to be at the top because that has to be your identity as you enter any game, if especially any series. But for me, it's on the offensive end. Like every game, really, the rest of the year that Porzingis is in, I need him to get the ball the first 5 times every game down the court every
I
time,
like it.
first 5 times. Because that's what we used to do with KG. He would set the tone. Throws him in the post. He's getting fouled. He makes the right pass out of the post. Like Porzingis can do all that, right? And he shoots better than KG. Just it's like it's a different game, obviously. But I mean, damn, they both were super efficient. Obviously, KG was efficient from the mid range. KP I think is shooting 52% himself from the field and almost 40 from three. So it's just like, I just to me get him the ball early and often, especially against Philly and Golden State because they're both super small. Once again, Embiid unfortunately is still out. They don't have an answer. They don't. And I said Philly's going to go small because they got Buddy Hill now and Oubre's back and Tobias Harris and so on and so forth. But Maxey is the guy you got to worry about, obviously. But I, I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I don't. I just like to me. I'm giving him the ball, and especially against Golden State, and they're not going to start LeBron Moody, and you got Kuminga down there. I'm sorry, it's it's barbecue chicken. It should be every time. Every time I give him the ball, once again, obviously Draymond would be a better defender on him because Draymond's a smarter defender. If you're gonna put Kuminga on him, like good night, good night, Irene. So to me, that's what I want to see. Feed the post. That's the reason why you brought him over here. He leads the league in post up efficiency. So let him get the ball the first 5 or 6 times down the court. Let JB continue to cook in the first quarter, and then Tatum take over in the second half. So that's where I'm at. I want to keep seeing that, and more. I want to see an aggressive Drew Holiday going into the playoffs too. His last 20 games or so, I want to see him because I feel like he sacrificed the most by far. You could tell, and he can easily get 20 a night, easily. So this team is a lot more dangerous where he's getting 20. Like them games where they all had 15 or more, that's when it gets spooky. It gets real scary out here for the opponent. So I just want to see more of that because I'm here for total domination. I don't want to win by 3. I want to win by 20. And once again, that's
Agreed.
greedy.
Agreed.
I'm greedy, but that's just where I'm at as we go into like I said, this final stretch of the season. Like I said, we'll be back next week to discuss that 5-game road trip, which is their last major road trip of the season. So, any last words on this before we wrap up?
No, man, just that it's good to be back talking seats. We'll definitely be back on here with you guys for the rest of this, the stretch run. So definitely stick with us, guys, because we got a lot of Celtics to break down over the next few months. We're really going to get into it here over the next few months for sure.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning, just remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you drop comments as this drops on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, radio, whatever it may be, make sure to show that love and follow us on it. So you don't miss what great content is coming down the pipe. So these are BK Bob Kelly. I'm Harvard Red Sean McCann. Until next time, we'll see you. Peace.